and thank you for joining us. I'm Dana Gunders, Executive Director of ReFED, and I, along with the entire ReFED team, could not be more excited to share two new resources with you today: the Roadmap to 2030, Reducing U.S. Food Waste by 50%, and the ReFED Insights Engine. In alignment with the Target Measure Act framework to reach our national and international goals of a 50% reduction in food waste by the year 2030, these resources were designed to help businesses, funders, government agencies, nonprofits, and more move from awareness about food waste as a problem to targeted action to reduce it. The Roadmap to 2030 identifies 7 key action areas, showing where the food system must focus its efforts over the next 10 years, along with recommended priorities for food businesses, capital providers, and policymakers. And the Insights Engine is an online data center that brings us into a new era of information on food waste, with a more granular analysis of the problem, a cost-benefit analysis of more than 40 reduction solutions, and other tools to drive action. These new resources build on ReFED's original 2016 roadmap to reduce U.S. food waste, which many of you may be familiar with. With the same spirit of that groundbreaking report, these tools were designed to fill a gap, not just understanding the extent of food waste as a problem, but also quantifying the solutions that address it. And rather than a printed report, the new tools will be digital first and will be regularly updated with new data, solutions, and analysis. Before we go any further, I want to take a moment to thank all of the funders who made these resources possible, most notably the Kroger Company's Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Foundation, which provided anchor funding to build the Insights Engine, and we thank them for their ongoing support.
The Kroger Co. Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Foundation is proud to have provided anchor funding to help ReFED build the Insights Engine and the Roadmap to 2030. Through Kroger's Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Social Impact Plan, the foundation is on a mission to help create communities free of hunger and waste by 2025. We believe the new resources developed by ReFED will help support the entire food system by providing data and solutions to move food waste reduction efforts forward. Businesses and others can turn to the Insights Engine and the Roadmap to 2030 to get the data they need to make the right decisions based on the impacts they seek to influence. These comprehensive resources can help businesses get solutions to address food waste challenges, find solution providers to partner with, learn more about the impact of their own efforts, and more. At the Kroger Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Foundation, we believe in innovation and collaboration to make meaningful change. That's why we chose to support ReFED's work. These new resources will help enable all of us to take action.
We'd like to thank our other funders as well. These resources would not be possible without them. And we'd like to thank Nielsen and Deloitte for providing in-kind contributions. We're also grateful to the dozens of experts and practitioners from the food industry, professional trades, solution providers, academia, and more who provided input and guidance. We have enormous appreciation for the time, expertise, and data they contributed. I also want to let you know that because of a tremendous level of participation in this program, we're not able to answer specific questions today. But soon we'll be hosting information and Q&A sessions about the Roadmap to 2030 and Insights Engine, and we'll announce these through our social media and other outreach channels. Now, let's get to it.
The case for working on food waste reduction is very compelling. Beyond the moral reason, there are major economic, social, and environmental benefits for businesses that meaningfully reduce food waste. But once you've clarified why your organization wants to work on food waste, the next questions, what to do and how, are actually very complicated. The ReFED Insights Engine can help organizations drill down from a macro view on food waste issues in their industry to a much more micro view on the best solutions and even solution providers to help address their unique priorities. And it does so in a very user-friendly way. There's really no other tool that delivers this level of clarity on a problem that so many of us are committed to solving.
So we know that globally, around a third of all food is either lost or wasted between production and arriving on our plates. And that's a huge issue for the global economy. It costs around $1 trillion every year. And in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, that's around 8% of total greenhouse gas emissions. So it's important from a climate change perspective as well. And all countries and all parts of the supply chain waste food. So we all have a responsibility to do something about it. And when we've looked at the business case, there is generally a fantastic business case for taking action. The median company that we looked at had a 14-to-1 payback for often a very small investment. So there really is a case for taking action to reduce food waste and actually improving your bottom line. But a lot of companies just do not know what to do about it. They might be aware there's a problem, but they don't then know what to do about it. So we've set up this Target, Measure, Act framework to help us all negotiate that. So we want companies to set targets. We then want them to measure, because that then tells them where their problems are and allows them to understand what the opportunities are. And that's where the ReFED Insights Engine comes in, because that tool can help companies and organizations to understand their problems, understand where the opportunities are, look at the options that they might have, and also identify who might be able to help them address some of those issues. So overall, I see this as an important part of our armory for tackling food waste.
When it comes to the environment, there's probably nothing more important than how we grow food, because food has such a big impact. It uses about 40% of all the land on Earth, about 70% of all the water we use on the planet, and it contributes about 25% of our greenhouse gases, contributing to climate change. So if we grow food differently or think about food differently, we can solve a lot of our environmental problems. But the best place to start is thinking about food waste. When we hear that 30 to 40% of all the food grown in the world isn't even eaten, then we have a first-order lever to pull that addresses not only the food security issues we have around the world, but also these big environmental impacts. So by reducing food waste, we can have more food security, but also have a huge impact on land and water and biodiversity and also climate change. And that's why it's so exciting to see what ReFED is doing with the new Insights Engine, taking kind of a big picture view about food waste and drilling down, informed by data, down into specific solutions that work across the United States that can involve communities and businesses and all of us, and addressing this really big lever that can improve the human condition as well as the environment in really profound ways.
The ReFED Insights Engine is the first of its kind in the United States. We have a major problem here in the United States around food waste, and we have a very short period of time in which we can achieve the Sustainable Development Goals we have committed ourselves to in this country. The ReFED Insights Engine helps all of us unlock our respective organizations and get the buy-in we need with the data-driven insights that we need as evidence, so that we can implement dozens of potential solutions that are already very well researched by this team. I hope you will take a look. I am looking forward as a technologist to put this in play in my own organization and with others. I think as an investor, as a policymaker, you will find the same type of depth very, very valuable in your own work.
When Betsy and I first realized nearly 15 years ago that food waste was an incredible problem here in the United States and that it was solvable, we got very excited. And from that came the initial ReFED roadmap 5 years ago. Fast forward to where we are today, and it's such an exciting time. What ReFED has been able to do with the Insights Engine and the new roadmap is incredible. The input from multi-stakeholders for data integrity is first class. Now the opportunity is for us. As philanthropic funders and as commercial investors, we have an opportunity to solve food waste. And we have lots of choices. We can do it philanthropically, we can do it commercially, we could do it in our own backyard, we can do it nationally. The opportunity is ours, and what an exciting time to make it happen.
The ReFED Insights Engine was created by consolidating and analyzing more than 50 public and proprietary data sets. Those were then combined with estimates and information from academic studies, industry papers, case studies, and expert interviews to generate 10 years worth of estimates for the amount of surplus food across the United States, as well as individual states. It also has sector-specific breakdowns by cause, destination, product type, and across a range of impact metrics. To quickly level set on terms here, I want to point out that our analysis anchors on surplus food. That is, all food that goes unsold or uneaten from farm to home, including food that is donated, sent to animal feed, compost, and other destinations. Food waste is a subset of this and only includes surplus food that is sent to landfill, incineration, down the drain, or not harvested. While we've analyzed all of the food falling into the surplus category, our solution set is aimed at cutting that food waste bucket in half. At this point, our numbers only go through 2019 and therefore do not reflect the significant impacts that COVID-19 had across the supply chain last year. While we don't have a full picture of that impact yet and will continue working to gain more insight, we do have some specific COVID data points on our website. And it appears that while the early days of the pandemic led to huge increases in food going to waste, the lasting impacts may in fact lead to a decrease. Before we dig into the resources themselves, I want to take a few minutes to share some of the top-level findings of our analysis. In short, we've started to make some progress, but we still have a big problem on our hands and need to rapidly accelerate the action we're taking. Looking back at the past decade, we find that while surplus food increased at first, it has been declining for the past few years. Per capita, surplus food in 2019 was the same as in 2014, 2% lower than its peak in 2016. Still, it's a lot and it has enormous impacts. 80 million tons, or 35% of all food in the United States, was unsold or uneaten in 2019. That's $408 billion worth of food, equivalent to about 2% of US GDP. And the greenhouse gas footprint of that food is the same as that of 58 million cars, and the water used to grow it is more than used by California and Idaho combined. There were 3 areas that really stood out as opportunities to address. First, in 2019, more than 50% of the produce left behind on farms was actually edible. That's enough fruits and vegetables to theoretically provide each food insecure American with 4 servings per day. Second, 70% of surplus in food service comes from consumers not eating everything they're served. This is an issue we have not even begun to tackle yet. Finally, the residential sector is still the largest source of food waste overall, and also has an even bigger greenhouse gas footprint given the added energy required to get food from farm to home. Those are just a few key opportunities revealed by the data, and we encourage you to explore more. You'll find that food waste is a massive problem, but it's one that's within our control. The US has a national goal to reduce food waste by 50% by 2030, and the good news is it's possible, but it will take a huge acceleration from the efforts we're seeing today. Our roadmap to 2030 meets that goal, but it does so with 100% adoption of solutions. That means everyone needs to take significant action. ReFED estimates that an annual investment of $14 billion over the next 10 years can reduce food waste by 45 million tons each year. That investment would also result in $73 billion in annual net financial benefit. That's a 5-to-1 return. Plus, every year it would reduce 16 million cars worth of greenhouse gas emissions and recover the equivalent of 4 billion meals for those in need. Over 10 years, it would also create 51,000 jobs and achieve our 2030 reduction goal. And the roadmap to 2030 and the Insights Engine can help us do it.
The roadmap to 2030 provides a blueprint for the food system to focus its efforts to reduce food waste over the next 10 years. ReFED identified the following 7 key action areas to prevent, rescue, and recycle food at risk of going to waste. Optimize the harvest, enhance product distribution, refine product management, maximize product utilization, reshape consumer environments, strengthen food rescue, and recycle anything remaining. Each action area has a dedicated page on our website with key indicators providing an overview of the food surplus generated, along with its impact, an examination of related reduction solutions and best practices, with links to detailed fact sheets on each, plus an analysis of 4 key levers that can help spur action: financing, policy, innovation, and engagement. We also have dedicated pages for specific food business stakeholder groups, featuring detailed recommendations for how to reduce food waste across the 7 key action areas. Importantly, the Roadmap to 2030 also includes a detailed financial analysis to help direct the public, private, and philanthropic capital investments needed to fund these efforts. A special page for capital providers shows a breakdown of the investment needed from 9 capital types across all 7 key action areas, and what's needed for individual food waste reduction solutions. There's also a page specifically for policy recommendations at the federal and state levels, developed in collaboration with our partners at the Harvard Food Law and Policy Clinic. While the Roadmap to 2030 explains what should be done to cut food waste in half by 2030, the Insights Engine provides the data and solutions that can help you do it. The Insights Engine features 4 tools to help you understand the food waste problem, determine which solutions to implement, find a partner to help, and see what your impact will be. The Food Waste Monitor allows you to investigate food waste at a more granular level, depending on your interest. You can view it by destination, food type, cause, or sector. You can also choose from a range of impacts: value, greenhouse gas footprint, and more. In addition, investigate breakdowns by specific sector or state. And you can even go back 10 years. We've used our methodology to provide estimates starting in 2010. The Solutions database lets you view an analysis of more than 40 food waste reduction solutions. You can view the solutions combined into the Roadmap's 7 key action areas or individually. Sort your view by impact metric, stakeholder type, and more. Individual solutions can be sorted by those same views. Then dig into the details on our solutions fact sheets, which feature the solution's impact potential, investment projections, recommended stakeholder actions, and more. The Solution Provider Directory is a searchable database featuring more than 700 organizations that can help you implement a food waste reduction initiative. Search for a partner using keywords or sort by specific solution types, states, and more. The directory includes top-level details about each solution provider, along with contact information. Use the impact calculator to see what your food waste reduction initiative could do. Choose your sector, food type, units, and diversion amount, and you'll see the resulting benefits for greenhouse gas emissions, water saved, and meals recovered. You can also compare that with an alternative scenario to see the difference.
Food waste is a system-wide problem, and that means solving it will take a system-wide approach. And that can make the challenge of reducing food waste by 50% by 2030 seem daunting, if not entirely impossible. But we believe it can be done, and we're not alone. Across the country and around the world, businesses, funders, government agencies, and more are recognizing the importance of implementing food waste reduction solutions. They realize that food waste reduction can protect our climate and natural resources and help support those facing food insecurity, while also growing our economy and creating jobs. So what can you do right now? If you're a food industry professional, use the Roadmap to 2030 and Insights Engine to explore causes and solutions specific to you, and leave with some contact information to connect with solution providers who can help. If you're an investor or philanthropist, check out our capital provider page to learn how important your support can be to start up or scale a food waste reduction initiative. And check out our solutions fact sheets to see the net financial benefits of investing in food waste reduction. If you're a policymaker, review our list of policy recommendations that can help accelerate the adoption of food waste reduction solutions at scale. And if you're an entrepreneur, nonprofit professional, academic, student, or just anyone interested in taking action to reduce food waste, visit the site and learn what needs to be done and how to do it. Our hope is that ReFED's Roadmap to 2030 and Insights Engine serve as a data-driven playbook that can guide food waste reduction efforts over the next 10 years. We'll be continuously improving it over time and welcome any data or feedback that can help us do that. We invite you to join us in making the most of this opportunity. Thank you for all that you do to create a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient food system for us all. We look forward to staying in touch.